Allah says, by the dawn. You know how important time is? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes qasam with every time of the day. There's wal fajr, as we recited. There's wal duha, which is the mid-morning time. There's wal nahar. There's wal asr. There's wal layl. And there's wal subh as well. All of these are different times that we have throughout the day. You have the early morning, you have the morning, you have the mid-morning, then you have noon, you have afternoon, you have night. Guess what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said? وَالْفَجْرِ وَالصُّبْحِ وَالضُّحَى وَالنَّهَارِ وَالْعَصْرِ وَاللَّيْلِ. This wow is Qasam, and he's swearing by all of these different times. Why? What's so important about time? It says time is of essence. There's a kahawah, there was a person who used to sell ice. The kids are too young to know this, but the elders, if you come from Pakistan or India, or this example is from Iraq actually, there was this man who used to sell ice. Today, you just go to the ice vending machine, grab the ice, and you can bring it home. But then back then, people used to sell ice. They would have, these big pieces of ice, and then they would be going around selling it. But guess what? Ice melts, especially in the heat of Iraq and the weather over there. This man who was selling ice, he was making this plea. He was saying, "Irhamu man yadubu rasu malih." Have mercy on someone whose capital is melting by the moment. Why? It's melting away. And if it becomes water, then there's no value to it. It's only valuable if it's in the shape of this ice. So buy it before it melts away. Guess what? He was giving us the message. He wasn't literally talking about his capital in the sense of this ice. He was talking about the capital of this life that we have. That every second that passes by, this life of ours is melting away. Every minute squandered, not spent in the razayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a time wasted. Now I'm not saying that you stand up on Musalla 24 hours. Islam is not saying that you fast all day long throughout the year, except those 2 days which is haram to fast. Islam is not saying that you're constantly going for ziyarat and hajj and umrah. Islam is not saying that you engage in these ibadat, the physical ibadat. No, that's not something that's being asked. Anything that you do for the razayat and the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right away it becomes ibadat for you. Even if you eat for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's ibadah. The money that you earn, halal earned money, is ibadah. Expand the horizon. Ibadah is not limited to salat and saum and hajj and zakat and so on and so forth. But ibadah is much more beyond that. In fact, what Allah needs from you is servitude. Very few are servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Abd, ubudiyat is something which is needed. Yes, and look at how Amir al-Mu'minin, Imam al-Muttaqin, Ali ibn Abi Talib al-Islam, he said, Ilahi kafa bi izzan an takuna li rabban wa kafa bi fakhran an akuna laka abdan. Oh Allah, it is enough for my honor that you are my Rabb. Oh Allah, it is enough for my pride that I am your servant. Ali, who's Mawla Muttaqiyan, who would take pride in anything, things that he has achieved already. What he has done in the battles of Badr and Uhud and Hunayn and Khaybar and Khandaq and all of those battles. The initial days of Islam when he broke the idols inside the Kaaba, standing on the shoulder of Rasulullah. When he slept on the bed of Rasulullah on the night of Hijrah, he could take pride in any of these things. What does he take pride in? Ilahi kafa bi izzan kafa. It is sufficient for my honor that I am your Abd. That I'm your servant. That I'm your servant. Anta kama uhibbu faj'alni kama tuhibbu. You are how I want you to be. Make me how you want me to be. Make that dua. Allah, how do you want me to be? You want me to be an abd and servitude of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why all of the Anbiya, they took pride in servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Someone said to the Prophet, "Oh Prophet, why do you need to pray so much? Jannah is in your possession, is your possession. Why do you need to pray so much? You know you're going to the paradise. Paradise is mushtaq of Rasulullah." You know what Rasulullah responds by saying? "Alam akun abdan shakura." Do you not want me to be a thankful, a grateful servant to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? That's what he takes pride in. When Hazrat Isa is born, the first thing that he utters from his mouth is what? Inni Abdullah atani al-kitab wa ja'alani nabiyya. I am Abd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I am servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah has given me the book. He's made me the Nabi. Interestingly, that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explains the sifat of Hazrat Isa and his mother, Hazrat Maryam salamullah alayha, how does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speak about them? The feature of this son and the mother, Allah says, Kana yakulani ta'am. Those two used to eat. Now I'm coming from New Jersey. Someone might say, Maulana, do you know that family in New Jersey? I say, yeah, I know. Why? Well, there's a proposal for our daughter. We just want to confirm with you how they are, because we've never been there. We don't know the family. The rishta just came and just one. So if I come to you and say, yeah, I know the family very well. The boy and the father, they both eat. You laugh. Like, what do you mean? Tell us something which is an outstanding feature of this individual. See, now you're laughing. But when Allah says, Kana yakulani ta'am for Hazrat Isa and Bibi Maryam salamullah, you laugh. It's an ayat. But Allah mentions the feature of these two like that. You ask me the same feature about someone from another state. If I said they eat, so everybody eats. Why does that make a difference? Why are you telling us such a feature? Tell us something outstanding about them. Something negative if there is, because it is regarding in marriage. So you know there's no limit when it comes to marriage. When someone asks you about a certain individual and it has to do with marriage, you are supposed to tell everything that you know about them. And hiding it actually would be disservice. But if someone randomly asks you, do you know so and so? Now if I know so and so, and I know their bad traits, now I should keep a lid on it. Because Allah is Sattarul. He doesn't want the defects of anyone to be exposed. He doesn't want me to do the same thing. But when it comes to marriage, you're allowed to go ahead and tell everything. Why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaking about Hazrat Maryam sallallahu alayha and Hazrat Isa in this way? They both used to eat. Well, the response is that there will come a time when people will start associating godly traits to Hazrat Isa and his mother. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Huwa yut'imu wa la yut'am. Allah feeds, and he doesn't need any feeding for himself. La ta'khudhuhu sinatun wa la nawm. He doesn't doze off. He doesn't sleep. He doesn't eat. He feeds others. Therefore, no. Isa and his mother, they used to eat. Meaning what? This is not a godly feature. They used to eat. You cannot associate them with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the reason Allah is mentioning such an odd trait of Hazrat Isa and his mother, that they used to eat. But I would say, oh Allah, you kept the sifat of feeding to yourself, but there's an exception that you drew in chapter number 76. When you spoke about Arbaeen, يُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. There's a group of people who, along with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, also feed the miskin, the destitute, the asir, the captive, and the yatim and the orphan, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bringing you back to the ayah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes an oath by all the different times. Time is of essence, especially the youngsters sitting over here. The elders will tell you, "Hamara waqt guzar gaya, we've done what we had to do." No, your time is still around. This is a misunderstanding by our elders. That hamara waqt guzar gaya. No, you still have many things to do. Don't think that you are now not going to be held accountable for anything that you do from this moment on. Now that you're 60 years old or 70 years old, you're not going to be held accountable for things that you do after this moment. You still will be. And you still need guidance. You still need to continue to pursue. Why? Seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. Islam does not stop. You don't graduate from Islam. Even our Marathi, they're still continuing their education. They're still studying. The vastness of the knowledge that exists within the realm of Islam is mind-boggling. So you keep learning things every single day. Never for a once think that you know everything. I remember in our community once, there was a mas'ala that came about, and it's mentioned in the Tawzir al-Masail, I believe it's mas'ala number 952. And I mentioned the mas'ala, and this gentleman and his wife, they're old. They're, from old. Now, don't get me wrong, if I say old and I said 70-year-old is old, then you say, oh, well, you're calling us old. 65, 70-year-old, they said, we have been listening to Majalis for the past 50 years. We've never heard this. I said, I've been a student of Hausa for the past 25 years. I'm still learning things. Every day I learn something new. Although this is my subject of studies, you're a professional somewhere else. You only rely on these majalis to learn 1 hour, 45 minutes. And even then, when you come to the majlis, you're coming from a day-long work, your minds are already tired. You're half asleep already. And then you say, well, I've been listening to majalis for the past 50 years. I've never heard this. Welcome to the club. There's still so many things that we still need to explore. Islam is still something which is worth exploring. My father, marhum, one of the Tilmiz, who passed away 2 years ago, he did the translation of Quran. And the Muqaddimah and the preface of the Quran, this is what he wrote. Someone, when he was doing the translation of Quran in Urdu, someone said to him, Maulana, what is the need of translation? There's already so many Urdu translations that exist already. Maqbul Hussain, Maqbul Faman Hussain, Jawadi Amali, Zishan al-Jawadi, for example, Mohsin Najafi, for example, and all of these other Urdu translations that exist. Why do we need another Urdu translation? What is it going to do? Instead of responding to that man, my dad included that into his Muqaddamah of Quran. So, by the way, I brought a copy for your center. Inshallah, I will give it as a hadiyah to the center to keep it over here. He writes in the Muqaddamah the following. Usually, we don't read the Muqaddamah. We just go right to the book. He says, there's a need for the translation of Quran every 50 years. Every 50 years, Quran should be translated. Look at where we were 50 years ago. 2023. Look at where we were in 1973. Those who were alive in 1973, right? Some of you might have been born, some of you were alive in 1970. Some of you might have remember 1973, maybe 5 or 10 years old, or 20 years old, whatever the case may be. Where were we? Or you don't need to be born at that time. You can look up on Google things that were there technologically speaking in 1973. How far have we come since 1973 to 2023? Technologically speaking, scientifically speaking. Could you imagine the technological advancements that we have today? Good or bad, that is a separate story. But how advanced the human race is today, the progression that has happened over the past 50 years. These kids won't even be able to relate to how do you live a life without phones? You're telling me there was a time there were no phones? I said, no, there were phones. Are you telling me there was a time there were no smartphones? How do you live a life without smartphones? They can't imagine. 50 years later, you have all of these advancements. So he gives an example of Quran. He says, and so if you translate Quran every 50 years, when you're up to grade of the societal, norm, you will perceive Quran differently. And he gives an example. There's an ayat of Surah Zilzal, the last two ayat. فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ. Whoever does an atom worth of good will see it. Whoever does an atom worth of evil will see it. People like Mullah Faiz al-Ashani who lived 300 years ago, they translated the ayat. Then Allah will show you the amal. How He'll show you, they have no idea. There didn't exist TVs, DVRs, camcorders, recording devices, playback devices. None of those things existed at that time. But they translated it. Today, if you translate that everything that you do, and atom worth of good that you do, and evil that you do, Allah will show it to you. Why? You see the surveillance cameras all around you. You play the footage, and then the advancement in the surveillance as well, how HD quality they are. And I hate to give this example, when you look at some of the sporting events, how greatly they're covered from every inch, everything that you're able to see in 3D, HD, whatever HD that they have. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, guess what? He will be able to show your good and evil in a much better quality that you and I cannot even comprehend. So every 50 years there's a need of the translation of Quran, because human mind, as it progresses, it will be able to understand Quran better as well. Sallallahu Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So that is the first ayat of Wal Fajr wa Layalin Ashr. Why is this ayat or this surah is known as Surah Al-Husayn? It was not named Surah Al-Husayn, but our Mufassirin, they addressed that this surah is known as Surah Al-Husayn. Why? Because when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes an oath by the dawn, He mentions the 10 nights. وَلَيَالِي الْعَشْرِ. Some mention that these 10 nights refers to the last 10 nights of Ramadan, where you have Laylatul Qadr. Some believe these are the first 10 nights of the Hajj until the Hajj, and some believe these are the first 10 nights of the Muharram al-Haram, when we commemorate the tragedy of Arbaeen. And the implementation of that is seen in the last 4 ayat which I recited for you. Ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutmainnah. Oh, the serene and the sound soul. Oh, the satisfied soul. Return to your Lord. You see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not say, oh, the satisfied jism. Ya ayyatuhal jismul mutmainnah. He said, no, Ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutmainnah. What does that mean? That means we thought, and we were so worried about physical appearance that we wasted our time. Not wasted, we spent so much time beautifying our physical, appearance, and then we neglected our nafs and our soul. What is needed is the beauty of the soul, the beauty of the nature. So what is the beauty of the soul? Do you not hear this about some people? That person is a very beautiful person, not physically speaking, but spiritually speaking. Meaning he has all the good characteristics. Speaks to you so calmly. Addresses so humble. Parents have done such a great job in raising that child. Whatever comes, says Salaam Alaikum to the elders. That's a good trait. Whenever he comes, he's so mu'addab, he sits down so nicely. He's good heart, right? You don't speak about the physical appearance of the child necessarily, you speak about the spiritual appearance of the child. We can make our spiritual ability, spiritual self and our soul beautiful. There's certain things that you need to do to beautify your spiritual aspect. We spend so much time and so many products for beauty is bought to make our physical appearance better. But what is more important in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutmainnah, not jismul mutmainnah. I'm not saying you neglect your jism, no. You still need to take care of it. But you need to take more care of your soul. If the soul is corrupted, then no matter how beautiful the jism is, no matter how beautiful the appearance is, at the end of the day, soul is what reaches and goes out. The body remains over here. The body is bounded over here. The soul is something which moves on and moves forward. This is Ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutmainnah. Irji'i. Return to your Lord in the state that Allah is razi with you. Allah is razi with us. Rather, we are the ones who should be razi with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If Allah has, and this is the question, I'm running out of my time, we should ask, are we razi with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Are we satisfied with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Alhamdulillah, we're satisfied. Then why is there kalima of complaint comes to your tongue? Oh Allah, why this to me? Oh Allah, why this happens to me all the time? Oh Allah, so and so is so, mashallah, doing well. Why am I suffering? That means you're not satisfied with the decree of Allah. That means you have slightest of displeasure in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But majority of us will say, well, no, alhamdulillah, I'm satisfied with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Guess what? It's not just you are satisfied with Allah. Allah needs to be satisfied with you as well. And how can that happen? We spend all our lives pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, hopefully. Through our ibadah, through our mu'amalah, through all of our actions, we're trying to please who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And for kids, when you try to please your parents, that's okay. You please your parents, in turn, you're actually pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, I thought I was only pleasing my father. I thought I was only pleasing my mother. So I can get, for example, I don't know, Roblox or something. I can get, for example, Minecraft or something. I can get some games from them or something. I thought I just needed to please my dad. That's all I had to. That's okay. You're pleasing your dad. In turn, you're pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when you become mukallaf, meaning that there's a duty upon you, then you only please God Almighty. And you don't want anything in return. Because He gives you everything already. He has given you everything already. So what has He given to me? Do you deny that He's giving you this life? Do you deny that He's giving you the ability to breathe, ability to smell, ability to have all of these senses working properly? Can you put a price tag on any of these organs that you have? Unfortunately, we realize the value of these organs when they start failing. Ask the person who can't see the value of your sight. Take care of your sight. Ask the person who can't hear the value of ability to hear. Ask the person who can't talk the value and the ability to talk. But what do? How do we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? By looking at things which are not worth looking at. By listening to things which are not worth listening to. By saying things which are not worth saying. Are we thankful and grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Absolutely not. So you and I spend all our life pleasing Allah, hopefully. But there are certain zawat and muqaddasat that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to please. Ayat Quran said, وَلَسَوْفَ يُعْطِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. A Habib will give you something by which you will be satisfied. You and I try to please Allah while Allah is trying to please His Habib, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Third ayat, فَادْخُلِي فِي عِبَادِي. I spoke briefly about ibadah. I won't spend too much time on it. وَادْخُلِي جَنَّتِي. And enter into my paradise. Again, taking reference from Amir al-Mu'mineen, who said the value of your nafs is this. It's so valuable that you shouldn't sell it for anything except فَلَا تَبِيعُوهَا إِلَّا بِالْجَنَّةِ. If there's ever you need to trade your nafs for something, trade it for nothing less than Jannah and paradise. That should be the value of your nafs. Anything less than that, you have not done a right sale. It's not been a good sale. You sold it for less. Make sure that you raise the bar of your nafs. Bring it to a place where you sell it only for the sake of the paradise and nothing more, nothing less. If you can do that, then you have the criteria of these 4 ayat that are essential. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Shall we continue tomorrow night as well? From this point on, under the same ayat. So these are the ayyam and the days known as the Arbaeen Husseini. Today, so many fortunate people are lucky to be in the vicinity of Karbala. They're there to pay tribute. And they themselves had a call in by Imam. That's the reason they are over there today and doing the ziyarah in person. You know, one of the rawayat from our 11th Imam, which I'll recite tomorrow night, when he gives wasiyat amongst the alamat of mu'min, one of the signs of the mu'min is to do ziyarat Arbaeen. Either from far or from close. Inshallah, we'll get an opportunity to do the ziyarat of Sayyid al-Shuhada from up close. But those who are there, they're praying for us. They're performing the ziyarat while millions are there. But still, they're performing the ziyarat with ease. Yeah, they have difficulty getting to the shrine. But then, for atraf of the haram, in their hotels, they're at ease. But let me bring you back to 40 days past after the Shahada of Imam Hussein. What happened on the day of Ashura? You heard the Masa'ib of Ashura. I don't need to repeat them. But on the 40th day, the tradition of the ziyarat of Arbaeen began when the companion of Rasulullah, Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari, came for the ziyarat of Imam Hussein. Jabir enters the vicinity of Karbala. First thing he does, he goes to Furat, he performs ghusl. He's teaching you the etiquette of doing the ziyarat of Imam. He performs ghusl, he puts on new clothes, and he's taking one step slowly and gradually. Atiyah, who's companion of Jabir, says, "Oh, Jabir, you're an old friend of Hussein ibn Ali. Do you not want to go and rush to the grave of Hussein? Grab a hold of the qabr of Hussein and do his ziyarat? Why are you taking your sweet time?" Have you not heard from Rasulullah who said that every step that you take toward the ziyarat of Hussein has a thawab of ajrullah? I want to make sure that I accumulate all the thawab that I can when I do the ziyarat of Hussein ibn Ali. This is one law and one type of ziyarat. Jabir eventually arrives at the qabr of Imam Hussein, grabs a hold of the qabr of Imam. Of course, at that time, there's no qubba. Of course, there's no shrine. It's just a grave. And that too, that the body of Sayyid al-Shuhada lay on the plains of Karbala, bare without anyone burying it until Imam Hussein came into Hussein. Jabir says, and he says, "Oh Hussein, you were martyred. We were with you, O Hussein, and our daraja and rank is the daraja and the rank of those who were martyred along with you." Atiyah hears this. He says, "Oh Jabir, we were in Medina. We weren't here in Karbala alongside with Hussein. How can you say that our rank is similar to those who were martyred with Hussein?" He said, "As long as, have you not heard Rasulullah, as long as our minds were with Hussein, as long as we supported Hussein, as long as we believed in what Hussein stood up for, we were as if we were also martyred with Hussein." This is one type of ziyarat that Jabir performed with ease, with comfort, taking his time. But you want to know another type of ziyarat that the family of Hussein performed? Yes, this qafila was in Sham. They were asked by Yazid, "Do you want to go back to Medina or you want to stay here in Sham? I'm willing to do either one for you. I will send you back with respect." Imam al-Zayd says, "We want to go back to Medina, but the request is that we want to pass through the city of Karbala." And he says, "Yes, no problem. Your wish, your command has been granted. You go however you want to." But then he says, "My mom says, before we leave, we want to have one majlis for the shuhada. Give us the heads of the shuhada." The majlis takes place. All the women of Sham are gathered as well. As soon as the heads of shuhada arrive, all the women they grab a hold of the head of their shaheed. Layla grabs the head of Hazrat Ali Akbar. Qasim's head was grabbed by Farwa. And similarly, when the head of Hussein came, Zainab grabbed the hold of the head of Hussein. There were two heads that were staying there, sitting there. Nobody was grabbing and holding them. Nobody was weeping and shedding tears for them. As soon as the Shami women saw, they said, isn't there any wives of these two heads? They were the heads of Aul and Muhammad. Zainab said, no, their mother is alive. Well, how can I weep for my sons? When there's the head of Hussein, the son of Fatima DAR-E-ZEHRA. Allah, may Allah give you no grief and no sorrow, except the grief and sorrow of Ahlul Bayt. The Qafila leaves Sham, and as they leave Sham, they arrive in Karbala. The difference is now they're sitting in carriages, they're sitting in Amari, but when they were brought in, there weren't any carriages. Even the camels and the horses were without any saddles. And they come back to Karbala. You heard the ziyarat of Jabir, how careful he was, how he took his time. But this is a different ziyarat. Jabir sees someone coming from far. He says, oh, Atiyah, see who's coming. Atiyah comes and says, oh, Jabir, we cannot stay here anymore. He said, what happened? He said, Ahle Haram are coming. The sisters of Hussein are coming. They come. There's a different scene altogether. The women were so motivated. They were so enthusiastic about the ziyarat of their shuhada. They threw themselves from the camels onto the graves. All the women were weeping for their shuhada. Zainab comes to the grave of Hussein. She said, oh bhaiya, maine aapka pehlam pahuncha diya. Oh bhaiya, I conveyed the message. Oh bhaiya, your shahadat is not in vain. Oh Allah, oh bhaiya, I took the message into the streets of Kufa, Bazaar of Kufa, and Garban Shah. But oh my brother, do you want to know the price I paid? They smashed my chadar. They hit the young kids. They struck me with them. Allah, please accept our ibadah tonight. Allah, we commit a lot of sins. Please forgive our sins. Allah, give us the tawfiq and ability to follow the command and teaching from the back of Salam. Allah, make us follow the steps of the back of Salam. Allah, hasten the reappearance of with Imam. Make us most help us in soldiers of Allah. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, Ba'ad al-Hussein.
Y'all say.
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 नाम को मेरी जान को रिहाई मिली चलो घर चले सखीना उठो मेरी जान को रिहाई मिली चलो घर चले ये करती थी माँ लहद पर ख्वाह मेरी लाडली चलो घर चले यहाँ से चलो चले करबला यहाँ से चलो चले करबला वहीं पर तुम्हें मिलेंगे सतम जो हुए बताना उन्हें, दिखाना उन्हें, मृता जला। सितम जो हुए बताना उन्हें, दिखाना उन्हें, आई मेरी चलो घर चले।